everyone, and welcome back. This is Jenny from Polly's Paper Studio. You're watching day 11 of our 13 Days of Halloween series. If you're just joining us, there are links in the description for the first 10 days so you can catch up. And for today's project, we are making clean and simple cards. And I know you're saying to yourself, oh no, Jenny cannot make those clean and simple cards, but I can make sweet and simple cards. And they're not as fussy and layered as my usual cards. They don't have as many flowers and embellishments, but I absolutely love them. And how I was able to create all of these cards, there are 10 cards here. I used 4 sheets of the new calendar collection from Authentique Paper, and there were so many cut aparts and different elements that you could arrange and combine to create lots of similar but different cards. So I picked up this collection and I decided that I was going to only add some solid cardstock for my card bases and doilies, and then a couple bows and a couple buttons and some glitter stars. Otherwise, came from the same 4 sheets of paper, which is pretty cool. So I've got that cut apart sheet. There's also a plaid. Of course, this is my favorite, and it has a companion pattern on the back, so I was able to utilize a little bit of that. On the back side of the larger vintage images, there are some companion patterns, and because I thought that I wanted to work in an A2 size, those larger vintage images might not work so well for me, but this side does. So I was able to get more patterns for my backgrounds and then some layering patterns as well. So that is that page, and then they come with the solids, and this one has pumpkin. I'm calling it pumpkin. I don't know if it has an actual name, but I love it. And there's black on the back, but I substituted my Blackjack Spectrum cardstock instead because I only had 1 sheet of this to work with, and I really wanted to make the best use out of it. So here is 10 cards created with 4 sheets of paper in a sweet and simple style. Stick with me and we'll make these together. Here's card 1, and like I mentioned before, I'm just using my own card bases. These are A2 size, and I will come back in later and finish the insides so that I've got the whole card finished inside and out. So here's that black cardstock, and I'm just using my same border width that I like for all of these layers. Now here comes that pumpkin color. It is absolutely gorgeous. I think I could use a whole pack of this during the holidays next year. And here's my plaid. I love this so much, and it looks even better, I think, with that double layer of matting. Here's that doily. I like to bring in a brighter color just to lighten up the front of the cards, and I'm just going to add this. Now that's that die that I picked up from Amazon, and that's going to be the base for the additional layers. So here is one of those tags. I put an eyelet through that and some twine, and I'll top it with one of those fun images from the cut apart page. And I'm going to pop these up with the foam spacer just so that it will add some dimension. And last but not least is a small plaid bow. Okay, so there is card 1, and I did make 3 cards with that same design layout because there were that many of these images that I thought would make great focal points. And that's 3 of my plaid backgrounds. So there's 3. Card 2 is going to start out a lot like card 1. It's going to have the white card base that is top folding. It's going to have the black cardstock and the pumpkin cardstock and the plaid, and I'm topping that with this polka dot, and this came from the back side of the calendar cut apart from that sheet, which I knew would be too big for my A2 size card. So I'm using the back side of that, and then I cut it at 2 inches so that I would have a nice thick topper border. So I've just lined that up with the plaid paper so that I could utilize those borders. Now I have a small square frame cut from the leftover blackjack cardstock. There were 3 of the 2x2 cut aparts, and I have matted them again with that orange and the black. And I popped that up with a foam spacer so that I could get some dimension. And then another of those plaid bows. I used this plaid all the way throughout these cards because I thought it worked so well and they had a more consistent look. So here is this at the bottom, and this is going to be card 2, and I did get 3 of those because I had enough to cover 6 card fronts with that plaid. So I did that, and they are similar but slightly different because they have that polka dot on top. Now we have 6 cards done. Okay, we're on to card 3 now, and we're gonna work with that same size card base, the same black cardstock. Now I've got the back side of those vintage image cut aparts, and this one had that great check pattern. And the scale was smaller, so I thought that would work well to add something larger on top. So I've got a second layer of cardstock, and this one is popped up with that spacer. And now I've got those stamps, and rather than cut each one apart and have 4 small elements, I decided to keep them together and make it like one large image. So it's kind of pop art inspired, sort of, and I'm just using that instead of 4, but instead just have one big focal point in the middle. That doesn't leave a lot of room for bows or embellishments, so I just die cut one little glitter star to add to the center. And then this vintage button came from the antique shop. It's really grungy looking and old and has its original thread in it, and it definitely has an age with it. Not shiny and new at all like that glitter star, but it looks really good right in the center. So here's the 3rd card. I've picked up a couple more of those buttons and finished these cards off. So I liked the sentiments that were all lined up, but I felt like I wanted to be able to include some embellishment, so I cut a strip of that remaining plaid and just covered the center too so that I would have a base to add. These are very old buttons and one more of those stars, so it kind of looks a little bit folk art to me. And then here's another one of those, a larger image. So I've got that typography that was part of the back of the larger vintage images, and then I paired it with the polka dot just to brighten it up. 2 of those journal cards had writing, and I liked this one more because it had that plaid border, so I kept that one, and then I put the buttons at the bottom. So these are a little bit less embellished because they don't have bows, but they do have buttons, so they definitely have some fun Halloween style. Last but not least is this last card. I had a couple of the tickets left, and I liked the sentiment on this one better, so I stacked those up, and I've put the banner shapes, they're just stitched banners at the bottom, and that was remaining of the salvage that I cut off cutting the card fronts. So I've got the plaid, and then the reverse side had that bat and pumpkin. Here's a black doily instead of the white for just to be a little different on this one, and then a glitter star and another button. So we have made 10 cards out of 4 sheets of paper and a little bit of cardstock. This is all that I had left. It's just a little bit strips of the pattern paper, and then the back side I was saving to put into one of these cards, but it didn't make it. So I have a couple larger images left I can use, or just the pattern paper. So this is it out of 4 sheets to complete our 10 cards for day 11 of our 13 days of Halloween. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you come back tomorrow. We've got more Halloween inspiration coming your way. You can leave me a thumbs up and a comment. And if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.